Iran, negotiations are now off the table. What does it mean for Israel now, while it's continuing its offensive and amid the escalating tensions in the West Asia?
Israel's aims have been very clear since the beginning of this operation. They've been to create the conditions that will facilitate a regime change in Iran in order to free the tens of millions of Iranians who've been living under this horrendous Islamo-fascist regime for the last 47 years. Now, last night, Hezbollah, which is the Lebanese branch of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards project throughout the Middle East, started attacking Israel as well from the north and sent missiles at our communities in the north. We saw the first ever operative use of Or-A-Tan, which was the laser interceptor that successfully brought down those missiles. Israel will continue to do what it needs to do in conjunction with the United States. The UK have now also joined. Yesterday, there was an Iranian attack on the UK army base in Cyprus. Obviously, you're seeing the GCC countries coming and joining together. And in your part of the world, Pakistan is currently caught up with the Afghans. So whereas in the 12-day war, the Pakistanis were providing intel and also military support to the Iranians, Iran now is very much by itself, and it is a case, I think, of not if, but when the Iranian regime falls.
Well, Terry, the US and Israel are continuing with their offensive. How high are the economic stakes at this point globally?
The economic stakes are high in the sense that the Straits of Hormuz are integral to oil lanes, but much of this was taken into account. The Americans, A, are net exporters of energy. B, they significantly increased the national reserves before. C, the Saudis have alternative pipelines in order to get their energy out through the Red Sea. India has obviously been aware of much of the build-up to this. So countries have taken into account that this was likely to happen. And the major oil producers of the world are also currently increasing their capacity. So we might see a temporary spike, but I think that within a very short period of time, it will get back to normal. And our hope is, obviously, that then this will enable in a new period of economic progress and success for the region and also for the wider world.
Right. Iran has turned this escalation, this conflict, into a regional war by targeting other West Asia countries and Arab countries. The Strait of Hormuz is shut. How severely is this going to rewrite the Gulf security calculations?
Listen, in the short term, you will obviously see people cancelling flights to the area, and you will see certain multinationals withdrawing their population. But I think it will be very short. I think you've seen the incredible efficiency of the various air defense systems, and this threat has been, over this area now for decades, and it's time that it went away. Sometimes you have to deal with threats early on. Imagine if Iran had gone nuclear. Do you think then the GCC countries would be able to be stable? When across the Hormuz Straits there was a large Islamo-fascist country that had nuclear weapons? We are now becoming aware that the North Koreans were actually involved in developing part of the nuclear project there over the last year, since the 12-day war in the middle of last year. So,
right.
It's not a safe place to be at the moment, but it will be a lot safer after, and it will certainly be a safer place than had Iran been allowed to go nuclear.
Well, that's right. Terry, the economic implications of this war could be significant if it is going to leave a lasting impact on Iran's regional position at this point. What does it mean for Israel's geopolitical risk at this point?
Well, Israel has been the best performing stock exchange globally over the last 2 years. If you compare Israel's position now to where it was 2 years ago, when 2 years ago we were surrounded we had Hezbollah in the north, the Houthis in the south, the Gazas in southwest. We had Syria, which was controlled by the Iranians. We had militias in Iraq firing at us, and we had Iran firing at us. Fast forward 2.5 years, we're now in a situation where Hamas in Gaza has been almost obliterated. Hezbollah, despite firing us, is more or less obliterated. Assad has gone. He's been wiped off the face of the earth. He's hiding somewhere in Russia, but his regime has gone. And in fact, we've been attacking the Iranians via Syrian Air Force airspace. You've got the Houthis who are still being pummeled. The supreme leader of Iran has just been assassinated. So Israel's geopolitical position has got significantly stronger. If you look at the fact that all the GCC countries are now together with the Israelis and the Americans, this is all coordinated through CENTCOM. I think Israel's position is very, very strong, and it will be seen also not just militarily, but also economically, the trade routes, the cooperation. And I think the visit of your Prime Minister Modi here last week on the eve of this war is testament to the fact that India is also interested in being part of this story, being part of this whole military and economic infrastructure that's being built. And I hope that the IMEC, the Indian, Middle Eastern, European Economic Corridor, will finally be finished, because that was, in fact, the start of this war. If you remember, the IMEC was officially announced in Delhi in September of 2023. And then 1 month later, in October, the entire war started in order to prevent Israel-Saudi normalization, which was the missing link in the IMEC chain. So my hope is that now, when the Iranian threat has gone, and we've seen obviously China being very quiet, we will be able to complete this IMEC and move forward and bring peace and prosperity to the region and to the wider world.